Another big game that we have at 3:30 in the ACC. We got Virginia at Duke, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. This is a massive, massive game in what is the most wide-open conference in college football right now. Every school in the ACC has at least one conference loss this year, and there are 5 programs in the ACC with exactly one conference loss this year. So with 3 weeks left, there is still a lot to play for in the ACC standings right now. 2 of those 5 teams that only have one conference loss are in this game, in Virginia and Duke. This will be an absolutely pivotal game in determining who makes it to Charlotte to compete for the ACC championship and likely the conference's only college football playoff spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you look at this ACC race, there are so many big head-to-head games left to go, right? You've got this one. You've got Pitt with a couple of big games coming up against Georgia Tech and Miami. Louisville's playing SMU, I believe, next week. We're going to have that game. I mean, there's just so many games left head-to-head that are going to decide this thing, but it's absolutely chaotic, especially when you consider that Duke overall at 5-4 is still in it. This team lost to UConn last week, and realistically, it's almost the Pat Narduzzi theory of the standings. Maybe Duke just didn't give a rip about losing to UConn because the ACC games mean more, but 3 of their 4 losses are out of conference, so they're still in it even with 4 losses overall, and they got a really dangerous offense, and then can Virginia get back up off the mat? And the question is going to be whether or not Chandler Morris is going to play, right? Or are we going to get Daniel Kalin for a whole game at quarterback this time too? So, and they really struggled, obviously only scored 9 points against Wake Forest last week in that loss. So there's a lot of weird variables here, but if you're Manny Diaz and Duke, you're sitting there even after last week's loss and going, well, we're still here. Yeah. You know, it's kind of that thing. They've blown a lot of games, but a lot of those have been out of conference, right? And the one in conference was a Georgia Tech game that, had they not made their own mistakes, they might have won that game too.
This is why I caution against saying, some games don't matter, though, because I do think the nightmare scenario for the ACC is if Duke does end up winning the conference at 9-4, will we get 2 group of 6 playoff teams and the American winner and maybe James Madison, or will it be a 9-4 Duke that gets in too? Because you have to have 5 conference champions to make the playoff. The question is, though, so many people say, it's the 4 Power 4 champions and then 1 Group of 6 champion. There is a scenario where it could be 3 Power 4 champions and 2 Group of 6 champions. So these Duke losses are stacking up. We'll see. They got to get to the ACC title game first. We'll talk about the game just now. But I do think there's a nightmare scenario for the ACC where there's a chance no ACC team makes a playoff this year.
There is at least a chance, and it would start with this game right here.
Yeah.
It would throw the biggest wrench in probably anything we've ever seen in any sort of playoff selection. So, no, this will be a fun one though. Duke, despite the record, they're a dangerous team. There's a lot of times we'll go over it, but they got to get out of their own way sometimes.
So you have that Duke offense. Darian Mensah has been one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year. What should we know for him against Virginia?
He really has. He's been outstanding, and what you can expect from Darian Mensah is for him to attack outside the numbers. When he's throwing the ball at or outside the numbers, 91.7 passing grade this year. He likes to attack go ball, slot fades, deep out routes, comebacks, things of that nature, back shoulders too. When he's attacking at or outside the numbers, he's got a 91.7 passing grade. Second in the nation behind who, Max?
Julian Sayin.
Good call. Yep. See that every time. 97 completions out to those areas of the field, 6th most in the country, 15 touchdowns at or outside the numbers, 15 big-time throws. Behind who, Max?
That'd be Julian Sayin.
Actually, it's wrong this time. It's actually Ethan Kalikmanis from Rutgers. Yeah.
What if I pulled that out right there?
If you were just
Ethan Kalikmanis.
I would think you were hacking my computer or something when I was researching.
I'm just that into the stats. I know every single stat off the top of my head like that.
I mean,
what a pull that would have been if I did that.
That would have been some really good hosting.
That was some disgusting work.
That category, Sayin's not too far behind, but that
was good by you.
That category is Ethan Kalikmanis from Rutgers having a pretty good year. Anyway. Darian Mensah, whichever quarterback we're talking about. Darian Mensah, really good outside the numbers. When he can push the ball downfield outside the numbers too, Cooper Barkate and Quayshawn Brown and a solid group of receivers, really underrated group of receivers you have there at Duke, then this passing game gets really dangerous. The only thing that comes with that sometimes is the turnovers have been hurting Duke. I'll get more into that when we make our predictions here, but I think when you look at the softest part of Virginia's defense, it's those cornerbacks on the outside. Virginia, pretty solid this year defending outside the numbers as a team. A lot of that is really good safety plays, but all three of their cornerbacks that rotate in on the outside have right around a 60 coverage grade. They get the job done. I won't say it's lights out on the outside, so I think Duke has some opportunity here to attack outside the numbers as they always do and create those explosive plays.
Yeah, I have the Virginia offense, and I'm looking at the run game for Virginia, which has been, probably the most important part of their offense all year, but it's even more important in this game, considering, like Dalton mentioned before, Chandler Morris was knocked out of last week's loss to Wake Forest, taking a big hit while sliding in that game. He suffered a head and neck injury. He is questionable for this week, and considering he's questionable, and the fact that the backup quarterback Daniel Kalen really, really struggled in the loss with only a 33.1 passing grade against Wake Forest, the Virginia's rushing attack has even more pressure to perform this week. Now, luckily for Virginia, it's been the best part of their offense this year. Right now, running back Jamari Taylor has 623 rushing yards after contact, which are fourth among all running backs in the Power 4. 11 rushing touchdowns are tied for fifth among all running backs in the Power 4. And the Cavaliers are 24th in the country with a 68.3 run blocking grade this year. Duke's run defense has been solid overall. Right now, they're 53rd in run defense grade and 48th in yards per carry allowed at 4.6. But they have earned sub-70 run defense grades in 3 of their last 4 games. If Daniel Kalen does start and Duke can slow down Jamari Taylor just enough, the Blue Devils could really, really slow down this Virginia offense. But if Chandler Morris is able to go in this game, Duke will have to slow down Virginia's rushing attack while also not stacking the box, because right now Duke has the 7th worst coverage grade in the Power 4 this year. It's kind of been a shocking development for Duke this year, Dalton. I had Duke as having a top 10 secondary in the country going into the year. They have really, really struggled on the back end of their defense. So if Daniel Kalen starts, that might not matter for Duke's defense considering how much he struggled as a passer. But if Chandler Morris starts, Duke will have to stop the run without stacking the box, because that'll put their secondary in a really dangerous position.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler Rivers has still been really good for Duke, but it's really when teams attack them over the middle of the field that they've had a lot of issues. The linebackers and the safeties not quite as good as they were last year in coverage, and I think you're absolutely right. It comes down to stopping the run. You have to stop Jamari Taylor. He's really the engine of this Virginia offense in the first place, but especially if you're talking about Daniel Kalen being in there. Now, he's an athlete. I think he proved a little bit last week he can run the ball, but it was really a problem for them to complete passes last week. So Chandler Morris availability is going to be a huge storyline here, and if he can come in and add back to the passing game what they didn't have last week against a really good coverage unit in Wake Forest, if they can be two-dimensional, then Virginia can still be obviously very dangerous. But if you're Duke, I think you're right. You lock in on this run game between A, if Morris is out, or B, if he's not 100% going into this game. It's very questionable right now whether he's going to play, so stopping the run is going to be at a premium.
Yeah, Chandler Rivers has been still pretty good this year. I think it is worth mentioning why they struggle over the middle of the field. Terry Moore has not played at all this year.
Yeah.
I had Terry Moore as one of the best safeties in the country. He was, I think, the highest graded safety in the Power 4 last year. He tore his ACL in their Gator Bowl game against Ole Miss in January. He has not played since that injury. So that is a major, major reason why Duke has had such a struggling secondary this year, and major reason why I like Duke going into the year in their secondary, because I thought Terry Moore would be playing this year, but he has not played at all this year, and he is one of the best safeties in college football. Ultimately, Dalton, who will win this game and really get a big boost in the ACC standings, while also the loser of this game will have a lot of ground to make up with only a couple weeks left.
I'm ready to be hurt again, Max. I'm ready to be hurt again. You know what? I'm going to take Duke one more time this year. I'm taking them 35-31. That point total is for Virginia's kind of assuming Chandler Morris plays. We're going to kind of hedge with that a little bit. I do think if Kalen plays, I think Virginia's in trouble because the passing game just completely went away last week after he came in the game and Morris was injured. But I've got Duke 35-31. Look, Duke's a solid football team. The offense, especially with Mensah leading it, with Nate Shepard in the backfield, everything they have offensively, they are probably feeling like they should be better than 5-4. Because what is the big problem with Duke really, Max? Above all else, talent, coverage, all in their 5 wins, they've turned the ball over 1 time total. In their 4 losses, they've turned it over 10 times. 10 times in the 4 losses. 3 times last week against UConn. They don't turn the ball over. They're a borderline elite offense. They're really good. There's too many just big mistakes. I mean, remember the Georgia Tech game, the 99-yard fumble return, right? Illinois turning the football over. Last week against UConn, turning the football over, giving points away. This Duke team, when they don't turn the ball over, they are really good. And honestly, they're probably capable of beating anybody in the ACC the way it is. But they beat themselves a lot. I'm going to rely on them to not do that one more time. It's probably going to hurt me, and I'm going to say Mensa gets it done in a huge game that just sets off an absolute firestorm in the ACC, as we've been seeing all year now, and as we saw, we've been comparing it to last year's Big 12. These are the kind of things that happened last year in the Big 12 too, was big upsets late in the year. Give me the Blue Devils one last time, 35-31, and if I don't get this one right, then I might just never pick them again.
I got Duke as well, winning 31-28. I think Chandler Morris, if he's unable to go, I really like Duke's chances in this game. But even if he does play, I think Duke at home will come out of a close battle and win this one, and maybe be one of the teams we see in the ACC title game later on this year too. But I like Duke in this one, 31-28, deliver a second straight loss to Virginia.